Thank you for the introduction. Something I have discovered through direct experience repeatedly is that consistency in my meditation practice is the biggest input into how much benefit I reap from this practice. And this consistency means sitting down to meditate, ideally every day, and doing so for consistent periods of time. And I understand this intellectually and experientially, but I've long struggled with maintaining this consistency when something is not going well with the body. If I don't get a good night's sleep, or I'm sick, or something hurts, I'll often think, I'm not feeling that well today, so there is no point in sitting down to meditate. I'm not going to be able to pay attention to the breath anyway, so might as well just skip today. And then I skip today, and I skip tomorrow, and a month later I realize that my practice has broken down completely. And this has happened many times, and specifically when the body is not doing well for whatever reason. And I think that it's only recently that I started making some progress on this issue. And one thing that has helped is seeing how old age and sickness are treated in the Buddhist canon, in the teachings of the Buddha, and in the Buddhist suttas. So I want to briefly retell one such sutta that I think exemplifies this approach, and I'm going to paraphrase a lot. So there was this man called Nakulapita. He appears in a few different suttas. He wasn't a monk, he was just a normal person, but he would occasionally come and visit the Buddha and get teachings from the Buddha. So one day, Nakulapita shows up at the place where the Buddha was staying. Nakulapita goes to the Buddha, sits down next to him, and basically starts complaining about how old and sick his body is getting. So he goes like, Buddha, my body is getting so old, it's constantly sick, there's always something wrong with the body, my headache is killing me, my lower back is killing me, everything is horrible. And the Buddha looks at Nakulapita and tells him, yeah, if someone were to tell you that your body is actually doing great, it would be quite foolish of them. It is obvious that you are getting very old and your body is very sick. But don't worry, Nakulapita, says the Buddha. Don't worry, because I have something for you. I have a training for you. This is how you should train. Even though my body is ailing, my mind will be healthy. This is how you should train. And when Nakulapita heard this teaching from the Buddha, he was delighted. He got up immediately, very excited, went straight to one of the Buddha's chief disciples who was staying in the same place at that time, and basically tells this disciple, listen, man, I just got this amazing teaching from the Buddha, completely groundbreaking. My mind is blown. This is the best Dharma talk I've heard in my entire life, and proceeds to repeat this short training that he got from the Buddha, that even though my body is ailing, my mind will be healthy. So this disciple, he listens, he hears Nakulapita out and tells him, yeah, Nakulapita, this sounds interesting, this sounds like a cool teaching, but tell me, Nakulapita, did it occur to you to ask the Buddha what it means for someone to have an ailing mind in an ailing body, and what it would mean for someone to have a healthy mind even though their body is ailing? And Nakulapita freezes for a second and goes like, wait, no way. I completely forgot to ask the Buddha what it would mean for someone to have an ailing mind in an ailing body, and what it would mean for someone to have a healthy mind even though their body is ailing. But before Nakulapita could get too distraught, this disciple tells him, don't worry, Nakulapita, even though you forgot to ask the Buddha, I'm going to tell you myself because I actually know the answer. And this disciple proceeds to give this very long teaching discourse to Nakulapita, essentially explaining that short training. It's very long, it's very repetitive, it's basically a list. If anyone has ever read any Buddhist suttas, they're basically just dignified lists. So I'm going to summarize it a lot, and in a way that I interpret it and in a way that lands with me. So my reading of this teaching, or the explanation of the Buddha's pithy training, that this disciple gave to Nakulapita is this. If you look at your body and you think, oh no, my body is growing so old and it's always so sick and there's constantly something wrong. There's this horrible headache in my head and I'm sleepy and my lower back is killing me. If this is what you do, then indeed you have an ailing mind in an ailing body. However, if you look at your body and you notice, this is what sleepiness feels like. Maybe my eyelids are heavy, maybe my breathing is growing shallow. And then you do the same for the head. You notice the sensations that arise in the head, maybe some tension, maybe some pressure, but you don't identify with those sensations. And you don't identify with the head either, for that matter. And then you do the same for the lower back. You notice what are the sensations that arise in your back. Maybe some warmth, maybe some tension, but you don't identify with them. And maybe you do notice that some of those sensations at first appear more pleasant, others appear more unpleasant, but you don't identify with either. You just pay attention to the sensations that are arising. If this is what you do, then you have a healthy mind, even though your body is ailing. So I'm going to stop paraphrasing the Buddhist discourses at this point, because I occasionally think about this sutta and a couple others like it, not because they evoke the sense of doom that old age and sickness are coming for me, but rather because they show that they contain this practice, or rather they show that this practice, mindfulness, meditation, this practice gives us an approach to deal with old age and sickness when they do come. And the method that they contain, the method is simple, but it does take, practice. But thankfully, we have all discovered this practice, and we have even committed to trying it out, as evidenced by the fact that we all made it here today. And to develop the skill of being with the body, even when it is very old and very sick, it's better to use every opportunity of being with the body when it is facing some physical challenge, when you're sleepy, when there is some ache, some sickness, and so on. It's better to start small, start with something manageable, and then build the practice up. So whenever we face some challenge in the body, it's perfect. We could, of course, abandon our practice. My body is not feeling so well. I can't meditate today, so I'm not going to sit down. I'm not going to go to DMC. That's one way to do it. The other way is to actually follow this training that the Buddha offered to Nakulapita and actually sit with the physical challenge and pay attention to what's arising in the body. Because if we do sit and we do pay attention, we will learn to separate the raw sensations that the body is feeling from our identification with those sensations, from our reaction to the sensations. We'll notice how tiredness or sleepiness manifest in the body. We'll notice what feelings, what sensations back pain actually consists of. We'll notice how maybe a cold feels around the nose or throat. And we will develop the skill of being in the body, whether it is strong or weak, or whether it is healthy or sick. There is this common Latin phrase by one Roman poet, mens sana in corpore sano, a healthy mind and a healthy body. And I think it's often brought up to capture this idea that if you want to have a healthy mind, well, you better first work on having a healthy body. And this is certainly good practical advice. I do definitely feel better in my head after I go, let's say, for a challenging run. But I think that Buddhism goes a step further. It's possible to have a healthy mind even when our body is ailing. So let's actually try it for the next several minutes. Let's do a brief meditation together. So get into a comfortable position and close your eyes. Now turn your attention inward and scan the body. Look for any uncomfortable sensations that stand out. Maybe a sore muscle, maybe some tension in the knees or the ankles as you sit. Maybe a dull pain in the back. There might be a sensation that is so uncomfortable or even painful that it immediately stands out and captures your attention. If so, let it. If there is no sensation that stands out, slowly scan the body from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. If you pay attention, there will be plenty of sensations that are not comfortable. So let's take a few seconds identifying one such area of the body with unpleasant or uncomfortable sensations. Now that you have found an area of the body with uncomfortable sensations, investigate them. Are they piercing, aching, dull, maybe burning, maybe tingling? Does the sensation feel solid and unchanging? Or does it fluctuate in intensity? Maybe it moves in space. Maybe it changes its character. Is it one sensation, or is it several distinct ones? Finally, where is the unpleasantness and the discomfort in this sensation? How much of the discomfort is in the sensation itself, and how much is in how the mind is interpreting it? Let's investigate this for a minute until the bell. Thank you all for practicing with me. Now, as we transition into our group discussion, I want to pose 2 prompts for each group to start the discussion. The first is on the practice we've just done. When you focused on the discomfort, what were the actual sensations like? And what did you feel toward the sensations as you paid attention to them? And the second prompt is based on your prior experience. Do you recall a time in your life when something was wrong with the body? You were sick, you felt some pain, but your mind remained relatively calm or healthy? And if so, what factors do you think helped you face the physical challenge with equanimity? So we're going to split into groups, right?
What size groups do you want?
4 maybe should work. Yeah.